Welcome back, watch fans. Today we're talking about the Rolex, the most undervalued Rolex that has a shot to be the next $1 million watch. That's right, we're talking about the next $1 million watch. That is what the focus of this channel is, to help you get rich with horology. That's right, we're talking about horology. Unbelievable but true. We're coming to you from a rainy day in beautiful California, and I think California is best when it rains because it's just amazing. Listen, a rainy day in California is better than the best day in wherever. Anyhow, my friends, let's talk about Rolex Turnograph. We got the Turnograph back from service. That's right, we had it serviced. There was a few little issues. The bezel was falling off. And also the crystal, I believe, was cracked. Something was off, and we had this fixed service, quite expensive. I don't even want to talk about the numbers. I mean, it was, not a lot. It's not crazy, but way more than you would really think. It is what it is, and but this watch is actually 50 years old. That's right, it's more than 50 years old. This is early 70s. This is actually the watch I wore when I was a fighter pilot in Vietnam, saving you from communism. That's right. If it wasn't for me, most of you guys would be speaking Chinese or Vietnamese right now. That's right. Unbelievable but true. And this is the watch I was wearing when I was flying over the Gulf of Tonkin. Missions, many missions. I shot down about 18 or 20 MiGs. Back in those days. I lost track of the count. But anyway, let's talk about why this watch is, by the way, we have it on the strap. Actually, I'm going to be changing up the strap. Let's talk about why this is the Rolex, which has the most upside potential. Let's see if we can get a zoom in. Can we get a zoom in? Wait, how do we do this? Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty good. Look at that. They cleaned up the watch, so it looks a little bit better. And we have a cloudy day, so it's not at its best. But that's the look. Hang on a second. We got a puddle here. Let's get the Ocean O'Malley obligatory puddle shot. Let me see if we can get this. Let's see if we can make this happen. Let's see if we can get a puddle shot. Now, I'm not going to put the watch in the puddle because unlike Ocean O'Malley, I wear real watches. We're not wearing some Aventinati, whatever. What was he selling? Some grifter brands that are not even waterproof. Alleged fake dive watches. Ocean O'Malley was selling dive watches that are not waterproof. You Google it. That's right. You Google it. I think Ocean O'Malley is squatting in this place over here. This place over here. I think he's squat. I think this is probably one of these rooms over here. Anyway, look, the watch community is full of grifters. You got Artem Pizdets, aka Tim Wright, who's multi-generational Ukrainian insurance fraud. You Google it. That's right. All the Russians and Ukrainians. They only do one thing, and that is insurance fraud. You Google it. That's right. This guy is the king of Brighton Beach, or the prince of Brighton Beach insurance fraud. And you got Archie Luxury, you got JJ Bukiak, you got Watch Nicholas, grifting from old ladies, and you got what else? You got the Ochomo with the size 7 Skechers. Anyway, let me not get distracted here. All right, let's get back to the Rolex Turnograph. Why is this watch going to $1 million? By the way, right now, this is one of the most undervalued Rolexes on the planet. You can get these, I think, right now, you might be able to get it for under $4,000. You might be able to scoop it up for under $4,000, but I believe that these things are about to go parabolic. Lavender. So yeah, I think Rolex is about to go parabolic. Let me explain to you why. The Turnograph we're talking about. Rolex Turnograph about to go parabolic. And, I've been saying this for a while. Now, if you've been watching this channel, then I'm usually right about everything, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer. I was telling you guys about the Ellipse a couple of years back. I told you about the Patek 3940 Perpetual. Now, all those markets absolutely exploded, okay? I told you about other watches, but all those things took off. The one that hasn't, well, two watches have not moved that I thought would move. One is the Turnograph. Two is the Patek Travel Time. The Travel Time has been stuck, as well as the Turnograph. Now, I believe the time for the Turnograph is now. That's right. The time for the Turnograph is now. Why do I say that? There's something. I was in it a little bit early. Now, I've always loved the Turnograph. I remember seeing the last version of it, 2006, 7, around then, 2007, 2006, whenever it was. And I remember it was like $6,000. I was like, whoa. I'm not paying $6,000 for a Rolex, steel Rolex, because I remember paying $2,000 for basically a new Datejust, the Datejust, the Perpetual, whatever you call it, the basic Datejust, steel Datejust. I think I paid $2,000. I sold it a few years later for a little bit more. Now, I bought it, I think it was used or second. It was basically full set, the whole thing. So, back in those days, Rolex was a $2,000 watch. So I was like, shit, the Turnograph. But I thought it was an amazing watch. By the way, those 2008, I think was the cutoff year. They're selling now for roughly, about $8,000, maybe a little bit more, full set, depending on the condition, etc. So you'd be making a little bit of money on those, but the sweet spot, I believe, is that early 70s, late 60s, early 70s, like this example on the wrist right here. There you go. Unbelievable but true. This is, by the way, we got a new crystal here. New crystal from Rolex. Hang on a second, let me zoom out. Yeah. So the watch is in looking good. And why do I think the 60s and 70s is the best time for this watch? By the way, you got to have a two-tone. Forget about, don't even think about, it's actually, I think they only made them in two-tone because I think the bezel was always gold. Either white gold or yellow gold. I'm pretty sure. I don't think they ever made a steel bezel. I think it was always gold. Because I remember in 2006-7, it was a white gold bezel. Anyhow, what makes the 60s, late 60s, early 70s the best is one is they kind of got, again, they came out early, I think in the 50s. It was nicknamed the Thunderbird because they were worn by the Air Force Thunderbird pilots, which I was one of, by the way. That's right, I was a Thunderbird pilot back in the day. You're welcome, that's right. You're welcome for my service. So when they came out with it, they had those stupid arrow hands. I really dislike greatly those 1950s hands, the arrows, arrowhead. It's got that whole, it's just too much of a Cowboys and Indians vibe for me. You know what I'm saying? I don't like it. This is more modern, it's timeless and classic. This is what you want. You want something that's going to be timeless and classic. Now, when you look at the swatch, it's kind of an older watch, but you really can't tell the age. That's right. You don't know what age it is. Now, again, I'm not saying it because, you don't want to wear an old... It's just, you want something that's classic and timeless. That is the beauty of Rolex, Patek Philippe, and some of the great brands, is the watches, they're classic and timeless. They evolve, excuse me, they evolve. So there's some obviously nuances, and the new watches are much slicker and everything else. But there's such a great charm to these. I mean, it's incredible. Anyway, these are going for about under $4,000 right now. You could get them. I think if you try, you could find one for $4,000. The condition is important. make sure that everything is working. And I actually prefer these on a strap because, especially in the 70s, the bracelets were horrible. You do not want to be stuck with one of those bracelets from the 70s or the 60s, whatever it was. They're garbage. I happen to have two of these watches. I got one in solid gold, also from the 70s, on a strap. Now, the last version of it, 2008, the bracelet, beautiful bracelet, Jubilee bracelet with a concealed clasp. It's an incredible clasp. I don't know why Rolex stopped making that. Now, it's not an adjustable clasp like they have now, what they call a glide lock or whatever they call it. It's just it's a one-way, but it's a beautiful clasp, beautiful bracelet, hidden clasp, like a, very similar, well, exactly like the date. Now, here's what's important about the Turnograph. Now, let's get to the point of this video. Let's get to the point. What makes this valuable? Look, why did this Patek Philippe sell for $17 million? We had a Patek that sold for $17 million. Why? Last week, why did it sell for $17 million? Well, allegedly, part of it was because it was historically important. That was the thing that the first version of the perpetual calendars, and it was in steel. A whole thing. And it was worn by by Hitler or Gerding or one of these guys. They bought it in Budapest. Now Phillips is not going to tell you that, but it was definitely one of those guys that was the original owner of that watch. And that bought it in Budapest in February of 1944. Now, so historical importance is something that's a first. The importance of the movement, pioneering, all those things are important. The Rolex Turnograph, okay, is the watch that Rolex, it was their first ever sports model. Now, we did a video, we talked about all this before. I got a bunch of videos on this, okay? Now, here's the historical importance. Number one, you have the first ever Rolex real sports watch with a rotating bezel. This was it. Yes, it has the military heritage. It was flown by the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds. That's the elite Air Force pilots. We're not talking about some, Chomostan, Bukyakistan, Oman or, whatever. No, this is the U.S. Air Force. That was, in the 1950s, the U.S. Air Force was the best Air Force in the world. Well, they still are today, okay? And, that was the elite fighter squadron, the Thunderbirds, okay? I think they're called the Blue Angels now, whatever they're called. I don't know. Maybe it's the same one. Listen, I can't keep track of it. It's been so long since I flew a Phantom or whatever I was flying back then. I forgot. It's been many years, 50 years. This watch is older than most of you watching. You Google it. This watch is over 50 years old, 1972 or 3, I believe. Anyway, so you got the military heritage, you got the historical importance of it being the first real sports watch, turning bezel, and you also know that Rolex always used the Turnograph as kind of the test bed for new technologies, whatever it was, whether it was the rotating bezel, whether it was the hidden clasp on the Jubilee bracelets, the new Jubilee bracelets, whatever it was. This was the watch that they all, used as the test bed. So it's a very, very important watch. This is Hans Wilsdorf's favorite watch. Actually, Hans Wilsdorf personally gave me this watch. That's right. You Google it. Hans Wilsdorf personally handed me this watch. This was after I shot down my 5th MiG. This was early on in my career in Vietnam, and which was obviously very successful. And here we are today. So you need to understand that the Rolex Turnograph is the ultimate watch. Now, why is this watch so cheap today? Why is this not a $20,000 watch? I don't know. Okay, this is the opportunity. You have to understand something. It's like any type of investment. When everything makes, everything adds up, you gotta use critical thinking, okay? When everything makes sense, okay, it's like, and just the price is off, that's the opportunity. It's like Warren Buffett, okay, who, by the way, is, I think Warren Buffett has a Turnograph. But anyway, Warren Buffett, how did he get rich? Basically finding waiting for the perfect pitch, okay? Waiting for the right opportunity where something was deep value, big upside, and it was, the valuation, the price of it was like kind of, for whatever reason, people, I don't know, they just, they don't appreciate it now. Why? Makes no sense. This is the only Rolex, okay, the only historical Rolex that's available at deep value, the only sports Rolex. We're talking about Submariner, GMT, Daytona, whatever. You go down the whole list, whatever watches they have, you cannot get, okay, you absolutely cannot get anything at these prices of, let's call it $4,000. Okay, you find me another Rolex. It doesn't exist. Now, why is it so cheap? I think it's because a lot of listen, it's one of these things, it's kind of like, how to explain it? Like the Nautilus or the Royal Oak, okay? Patek Philippe Nautilus, Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. A number of years ago, you could have gotten one for, $5,000, okay? Like I paid $7,000 for my Royal Oak Owl, okay? Now, I could have, if I was smarter, I probably should have loaded up, and actually, if I was really smart, I would have, been buying it a little bit earlier. But I was kind of not interested in watches for a long time. By the time I got interested in it in 2017 or so, prices were, they were starting to already pick up. That was right before everything went crazy. The time for me to really have gotten back into the watches would have been 2010, 2012. That's where the real bottom was. And you could have gotten a Patek 3800, which is the watch I really like, the Nautilus 3800, or even the Jumbo. I would say the 3800 was under $10,000. Okay, yes, it was under $10,000. And today it's about, we're talking about the two-tone blue dial. The classic two-tone blue dial Nautilus. It was under $10,000 up until I think 2016 or so, 2015. And I remember I was offered one for $14,000. I famously said I was offered one for $14,000, but by then I was like, you know what? I can get the Royal Oak for $7,000, and it's got a day date and a moon phase. I gotta have a moon phase. So, and it's half the price. It makes no sense. So I got the Royal Oak. I should have bought both, but I was a little bit financially constrained at that time. So, but the point is this: in the 1990s, late 90s, early 2000s, nobody wanted the Royal Oak or the Nautilus. Okay, all these bukiaks, all these chomos who are chasing the hype. They all want the Royal Oak, they all want the Nautilus. They didn't even know what a Nautilus was, okay? These guys didn't even know how to tell time in a watch. Forget about watches. They weren't even wearing Timex. They didn't even know how to tell time. They wore, excuse me, they were all wearing digital watches, okay? All these bukiaks are all wearing G-Shocks. All these guys who today, they're all connoisseurs. They're all, watch enthusiasts. Collectors, they're all big Hodinkee members or whatever. These guys are all wearing G-Shocks then. They didn't even know what a watch was. They wouldn't look at a Royal Oak or a Nautilus twice. So yeah, you could have gotten a Royal Oak or a Nautilus for under $10,000 just a couple of years ago. Okay, and what happened? Perceptions changed. All of a sudden, people realized, oh, listen. By the way, they were considered ugly watches. The Royal Oak was considered an ugly watch. So was the Nautilus. By the way, the Turnograph is considered an ugly watch today. That's right. You ask any bukiak out there, like the Ochomo, you ask Ochomo, you ask JJ Bukiak, you ask Archie Luxury, you ask these so-called experts, who are, by the way, low-life, degenerates, grifters, they will all tell you that the Turnograph, oh, it's too small. Oh, it's too small. Oh, it's 36 millimeter. Oh, it's too small. Oh, it's an old watch. Oh, it's this, it's that. You watch, in probably a year or 2 years, these guys will be doing videos about this watch. That's right. They're going to be doing videos telling you how great it is and that they're a genius and this and that. But you heard it here first. That's right. Now, look, sometimes I'm a little bit ahead of things. Sometimes I'm ahead of the trend by, couple of years. Yeah, it happens that way. Sometimes I'm ahead of the trend by a number of years, and I'm in early. And this is your opportunity. Now, look, gentlemen's. Let me tell you something, gentlemen's. This is your last opportunity. To get yourself a Turnograph before the market goes to the moon, okay? The market is going to go to the moon. Unbelievable but true. You Google it. That's right, you Google it.